We have received notice from the United States, a notice which we are still in discussions with them over, about a change of mind about participating in one shape, form or other in the summit. So the discussions are still ongoing.
I saw the South African president running his mouth a little bit against the United States and the president of the United States earlier today, and that language is not appreciated by the president or his team. The ambassador or the representative of the embassy in South Africa is simply there to recognize that the United States will be the host of the G20. They are receiving that send-off at the end of the event. They are not there to participate in official talks.
A war of words between South Africa and the U.S. over the G20 summit, which has been so far marred by a diplomatic dispute between the two nations over what actually constitutes participation in the conference. Let's go to Johannesburg now and dig further into this with Jennifer Zabasajja, Bloomberg's chief Africa correspondent. I've got to say, beyond anything, it's sort of must be frustrating for everyone else who's participating in the G20 that this has become such a focal issue, whether the U.S. are going to participate or not. What went down overnight, Jen?
Right, Jumana. We were actually in the room there when President Ramaphosa was speaking, and he was speaking alongside European Union leaders, including Ursula von der Leyen. And we were quite surprised, as he also told us, that it seemed as if some of the claims that he was making was that the U.S. was, in fact, indicating that they wanted to participate in some fashion. Most of the reporting has been centered around the fact, as Caroline Levitt was stating there, that there would be some sort of representative from the U.S. to take the baton, as it were, for the G20 next year, which, of course, the U.S. is hosting. But as you were mentioning there, Jumana, there's really quite a bit of confusion because many people had sort of moved on. It seemed like many people had moved on from the fact that the U.S. Was not sending a representative. As President Ramaphosa actually said during that speech last night when he was taking questions, he said boycott politics do not work, and actually seemed to indicate that, in fact, maybe he had thought there would be some sort of resolution. He said there was still a seat for the U.S. For these negotiations, but still many leaders have indicated to us that they want to at least try to move forward in some fashion and not make this about people or nations that are not necessarily in the room anymore. So the big question really that we're trying to figure out is what sort of representation will the U.S. have here, if at all? And really, what does this then mean again for any sort of declaration at the end of the summit? As we mentioned earlier this week on the show, the U.S. was quite direct in their direction and communication, telling South Africa not to declare any sort of a joint declaration at the end of this because the U.S. is not present. So the question is, what, if anything, is going to come out of this summit? What are some of these leaders who many of them are already in town and will be over the next few days? What are they going to be able to negotiate and find consensus on? And then really, what does this mean for the next G20, which of course will be in the U.S.? I'm sure that if the past 24 hours is any indication, it will be a very busy next few days, and probably we'll likely hear from both of these presidents over the next few hours and days about where relations stand between the two of them, but then also more broadly what this means for multilateralism.